All right, so Docker and containerization. Docker has become really, really important um, in the recent years. It has really changed how developers work on their code, as well as how applications are deployed. Back in the days, long time ago, people would buy a computer and they would connect and try to make web applications work. They actually bought their own hardware. Now you know that with the virtual machines that you can do some studying on, it really changed the whole industry on how applications are built and deployed. With the virtual machine, it allowed things to be in the cloud. So no longer you have to buy a physical server that is very expensive and host your application. Amazon, with the use of virtual machine, found a way to break a very large server into many virtual machines with specific CPU and RAM and disk space allocated toward each of the virtual machine, and they now could just rent some of that virtual machine with different configuration to the users for a fee, for a very low fee. So it was a lot cheaper. Instead of buying a computer that's several $1,000s and buying 100 of them, now you can just simply rent from Amazon a virtual machine with the same specs, and you can have it go up and down depending on the volume of your clients. So anyway, virtual machine really changed how things were done. You hear about the cloud all the time. That was done through the virtual machines. Now with Docker and containerization, it really changed the whole thing again. If you are hosting your application in the virtual machine, it takes a lot of time to set it up. And also when you're scaling up the number of servers, it takes some time. It takes minutes, for another server to restart and, to be set up. Now, if you have a new user who comes to your website, do you think they're going to wait a few minutes for another server to pop out? No, people usually leave after a few seconds, right? 5 seconds or so forth. Docker really changed that because with Docker, you can launch a new server within seconds. It's super fast. And another benefit is with the virtual machine, it's like setting up your own computer. So you can imagine you have to set up your own operating system and all these dependencies and libraries, and so that your application would work perfectly. You can imagine how if it has some of the frameworks or other things that are on a different version, your application may not work so well. With Docker, you can exactly specify all the dependencies so that if it works on your computer, it would work on anyone else's computer. No longer you have to work on your code and find out, hey, it works on my computer, but it doesn't work on another computer because I have maybe a different version of software installed or whatever. It's really neat. For example, let's talk about MySQL. There is MySQL 5, 5.1, 5.2. There are all these variations. Maybe something that works on your computer because you have MySQL 5.3 doesn't work on someone else's computer because they have MySQL 4.3 or whatever. Using Docker, you can specify all the versions and say, okay, this one I'm going to use 5.1, this one I'm going to use 8.1, and then create your own basically containerization with the exact setting that you need. So this makes development a lot easier. Well, some of it a lot easier. Also makes deployment a lot more effective too. Now there are added learning curves to learn how to use Docker, containerization. These topics are very advanced. It's not easy. And I would say most amateur and junior or mid-level developers don't really understand how Docker and containerizations work. Now, we spend a lot of time trying to put together a course so that you understand high level how Docker works, how containerization works. And Oliver did a really good job trying to put together the right materials to help you get accelerated learning on Docker and containerization. For me, once Docker came out, I spent months studying how Docker works, why it even exists, the benefits. There weren't that many tutorials or good documentations. It took me forever. But we've done a lot of the work for you so that what took us months to learn and master, hopefully within a few days, you're going to learn how to do this. Now, back in the days with Docker, there weren't all these GUI and tools available. So we had to learn how to do all these terminal commands. And there were so many terminal commands we had to memorize. So we would write down notes and look up our notes to see how we would do things. VS Code had really created a beautiful GUI where you can actually do all of those things without learning exactly what to type in the terminal. It's beautiful. I wish, several years ago when I learned Docker, I knew about these tools, but hey, that's how development is like. You will find that often you will spend months, maybe even years, and then later you find out about this amazing tool that you wish you knew back when you're starting to learn. So anyway, with Docker and containerization, such an important concept, but it is an advanced topic. We want you to pay attention to it. Oliver, one of our team member, has done a great job putting together a lot of a helpful resource as well as targeted assignments to help you understand how Docker and containerizations work. Once you do this, then you're going to also learn about TDD, which is also done by Oliver, and then we're going to take you into continuous integration. So anyway, important topic, but it is very advanced. Enjoy it, and you will learn a lot. You will love this.